Hello everybody and welcome to Formula Ford on Mondays here at the Bathurst circuit for week 4 of season 1 of 2023. We are here with a grid packed of drivers and a new theme tune, as you can hear disappearing into the background. And I'm probably shouting because I'm shouting over the top of it, so bear with me. I've just got to get it sounding right. Here we go with a packed field, as I say, here in the hot temperature, 23 degrees only in Bathurst, and a great circuit to go. Famous corners like the cutting, the chase, and of course the downhill slidey area where it catches anybody out. But who will it catch out tonight? We go into the racing here at the historic Bathurst circuit, and first up on the grid we will see who will come out on top. So we'll just quickly now switch to qualifying and see who is out there on the circuit, and we're currently looking at Tim Hendrickson, who is out there doing his lap right now. It's going to be really tough to see whether anybody can beat Tim. He's been one of the quickest throughout this series of Monday night races, competed in the most, won the most, so we'll see how that gets on. But Tim Hendrickson currently the number one car up the top. Christian Carabanga has returned for this Monday night, the American. Rui Pinto dropping in for the first time, and I believe gave a follow to the channel, so thank you Rui for that. Otto Eichmann will be there in qualifying as well. Marcus Komonowski, Patrick Altericky, John Pethick, the Club 100 legend. That means a lot to me that somebody from Club 100 has joined into this series. Damien Alvarez, Malin Curran, David Freestone, the lead Australian, with Mark Jeffrey and James Lee joining us in the top split. And Philip Hukart and Alexander Phillips are your remaining drivers of the 14 that will be on the grid here tonight. So we'll just see how this goes. So we'll go into the qualifying session, and it's Tim Hendrickson who will take us on a lap of this circuit as we come across the line to start the qualifying lap. Now, it takes quite a while to get around the circuit, so it's quite hard. That was his first shot at 2 minutes 20, but down into turn number 1, you drop down normally into about second gear to get the run up the straight. You've got to remember these guys are running a long gearbox situation in terms of the gearing. It takes a lot to get up into second or third gear, and he goes up into third. He's eased off the throttle a little bit there for some reason, but he goes up into turn number 2, long right-hander throughout the corner. So we'll just see how he gets around that. Absolutely fine. Up into third as he heads through to the cutting. Down into second gear for Hendrickson. Maybe a drop into first there just to get it out the corner. He continues over the top of the mountain. Now this is unique, I think, in the world of motorsport. But over the top of the Bathurst mountain, he keeps it tight through there, then goes out wide for the next corner, and then into this fast. Oh, there's a lift there from Hendrickson. Can be done flat in some cars. Down into this tightest section. If there's an accident down here, you want down into second gear. Might have been a shift to first there for Hendrickson. Keeps it in line and down into the start of the Conrod straight here. Got to get your braking right into here because it can skid right. You can see him steering away from it, and now he heads onto the Conrod straight, and it's a long period in these cars down this straight where you've got to really push on. Christian Kabanga has set a time 2/10 slower than Tim Hendrickson at the moment. David Freestone has finished his qualifying with a 2 minute 21.17, and Philip Hukart and Marcus Konofsky round out the top 5. 6th place currently for Marlon Curvin. He's set a 2:29.69, so he will be no higher than 6th at this moment in time. But here comes Tim Hendrickson. He's going to get the end of this lap in. He's going down to the final corner now, turns it into the final corner, clips the curb, onto the curb on the exit, straightens it up, goes through the line, and sets a 2 minutes 20.09 to go clear of the field. And he is now clear and really pushing on for that pole position there. We'll now have a look at Rui Pinto, who is also just pulling up. He's third in the class, so interesting to see what's going to happen here. So let's see if anything will change throughout this event in terms of pace. And let's just see. It's going to be really, really close between these drivers. Just bear with me 1 minute while we just see who else is on a qualifying lap. I think that may be it, to be honest. And it will be just Tim Hendrickson on the pole position. And will he be there for the end of the race, shall we say? All the drivers now gridding up and getting ready to race. We've got some comments in the chat about who they think will be competing in this. This is live on Twitch, so feel free to come across if you are on YouTube every Monday night that iRacing have an event on. But here we go. This is the grid for your Formula Ford race here at Bathurst. Tim Hendrickson is on pole position from Christian Cabanga. Rui Pinto in third from David Freestone. Philip Ucart and John Pethick round out an English or British row 3. Marcus Kunrowski from Brazil and Malan Curran from Asia in the top 8 from Patrick Altaricki and James Lee. Otto Alkinen and Damien Alvarez in the top 12. And to round out our grid, we have Mark Jeffrey and Alexander Phillips, who will start on that back row of the grid. But for now, we're going to get ready for the start and see. The lights are on. Tim Hendrickson on the pole position. Christian Cabanga in second. They all get away pretty well. A brilliant start there by Tim Hendrickson as he gets off towards turn number 1. And they all seem to file through as calmly as possible. But it is Tim Hendrickson who leads from Christian Cabanga. Rui Pinto in third. David Freestone, the lead Australian, in fourth. Looking a bit further back in the pack, there is a little bit of side-by-side, but it is still the lead going to Tim Hendrickson as we go up to turn number 2. Christian Cabanga trying to go with him and Rui Pinto. They don't want to let the Dutchman Tim Hendrickson run away because it's very similar to Max Verstappen. You will see him disappear and never be caught again. Hendrickson, obviously the lead driver in this field with the number 1 plate. He is 8,500, and we do have a crash early on for James Lee as we got up to the cutting, so we'll cut back to that in a bit. But across the mountain for the first time, the lead 2 or lead 3 possibly, just trying to stretch that lead from David Freestone, who is trying his hardest to hold on to the back of this pack. But he is now already 1 second behind Rui Pinto in front. So not the ideal start for Freestone, but they've got to get through these opening laps when the tyres are cold. Damien Alvarez in the pits. So it'd be interesting to see whether he had anything to do with the situation for James Lee. So let's have a quick look back at James Lee. He was going through turn 2 absolutely fine, and then as they come up to turn number 3, on the inside there's a white car and somebody disappeared there. That was Alvarez who disappeared, but it was the car on the inside that caused the issue. We'll just have another look there and see if we can pick up who that was. Don't think it. Yeah, Damien Alvarez was on the outside, so it was probably just got to flick through. It was actually Otto Aikinen on the inside, but the disappearance of Damien Alvarez is very, very strange. So we'll have to have a look at that later on. But back at the front, David Freestone, the Australian, has caught back up, and these top 4 are starting to eke out that gap to the rest of them. Philip Urquhart 2 seconds back, just ahead of John Pethick, the Club 100 regular, or former regular, get my words out, from Club 100 rental kart racing across here, now races MX5s as part of his racing pedigree, and he's trying to slipstream behind Urquhart up into the top 5, but Urquhart desperately trying to get rid of a slipstream already from Pefik. As we now have a new leader, it's Christian Cabanga and Tim Hendrickson are side by side into 2. Hendrickson will get the inside line up the hill, and Cabanga just lets him go there because side by side there, just let the rest of the pack come and join in. And these 4 just probably want to work together for a few laps. You don't want to be side by side across the mountain at any point because you will lose so much time. And luckily, because this is the iRacing equivalent, I mean, we don't often get rain on Bathurst, so we can forget that. But normally you might get the odd kangaroo or anything like that coming out onto the circuit. So luckily these guys don't have to worry about that as they come down the hill for the second time. Hendrickson, Cabanga, Pinto and Freestone. And we got Otto Aikinen has gone off the track somewhere. James Lee has rejoined the circuit. So it must have been a disconnection for Damien Alvarez. Unfortunate for him, but fortunate for everybody else who gains a position. We will just have a quick look at where Otto Aikinen went off track. Oh, or has he kept that out the wall? No, there is a damage on the back of the car, so be interesting to see whether he's able to keep going. He has crashed actually now and towed to pits, so we'll have a look at that. Oh, it's straight back down the hill. And we'll see what happens here. I think something was broke on the rear of the car and he pulls to the side and tows to the pits, so that is not ideal for Otto Aikinen. Cabanga now leads. He slipstreamed past Tim Hendrickson on the Conrad Straight into the chicane, and that is lead for the American, and he will now try and pull away while it is Rue Pinto now having a look at the back of Tim Hendrickson. These drivers really trying to fight it out among themselves. They don't want to let that rest in. John Pefik now leads the chasing pack, so Pefik will be looking to use that slipstream, use the 3 cars to stay in touch with the top 4 while the top 4 fight, but that's not what Philip Urquhart wants, and the Lotus liveried Formula Ford goes to the outside. Hendrickson's having a look at Cabanga, and Pinto has made his way through it as well, so we'll have a look back at the front in a minute. But Pefik holds on to 6th. But back at the front, here we go. Hendrickson's got a bit of a gap. What has happened here? Rue Pinto is up in 2nd, and Cabanga has dropped back to 3rd. It is not ideal for these drivers, but it is the way it's going to go at this moment because they really need to close in on the driver in front, who is and will be for the time being Tim Hendrickson. So let's see how this goes. They are closing down this gap. There is, it's giving Pinto, and Pinto slides through there and so almost loses it at the dipper, but that allows Cabanga to get alongside. Pinto's side by side with him onto the Conrad Straight, and this is just losing them time. They need to get in a line. A little bit of radio coming in across the background of the commentary there, but it is Pinto who takes 2nd. Freestone moves up into 3rd by slipstreaming with Pinto, but now he's stuck and Cabanga comes back at him. This is the problem with these drivers. If they start fighting, they are just letting Tim Hendrickson run away with it. But it's Cabanga who gets back into 2nd ahead of Pinto. I think Pinto probably was quite happy about that because the slipstream effect was keeping him in touch. But now they have 1.8 seconds to Tim Hendrickson. And certainly a battle they need to close in on. Further behind as well, we have Mark Jeffrey here in the Team Bullpit car. What a lovely livery there is on the front of his car. And he's trying to close on at Curran for 8th place. 2 similar rated drivers, 2.6 and 2.5k. Some radio about something being bad there in the background, so that's quite interesting to hear because I can't see anybody falling down the table, so be interesting to know who that is coming from. But we currently still have Tim Hendrickson with fastest lap of race. Pefik has just been passed by Urquhart again and now dropped behind Cornersveg. That battle between the three of them is red hot at this moment in time. But Mark Jeffrey trying to move up to make it 2 Australians in the top 8 at their home circuit. But here's the man of the moment so far. Here is Tim Hendrickson, and we'll watch from the helicam as he leads this battle. But he's now got 2.2 second lead over Christian Cabanga, David Freestone and Rue Pinto. That is group number 2. Then you have group number 3, which is Urquhart, Cornevez and Pefik. Then you have group number 4 of Curran and Jeffrey with Phillips and Altericky out the back. And James Lee managing just about to stay on the lead lap, but he's 1 minute 28. He's just crossed the line as Hendrickson goes out onto the Conrad Straight. So not ideal for Lee, but he's not a lap down. So will help his safety rating. And if anybody retires on the last lap, it will obviously gain him a position. We'll look back. Here is David Freestone defending from Rue Pinto as they go down into the chicane. Will he be able to hold him off? He does have the inside line. Pinto looks to the outside line. They're trying to stay out of each other's way, and it looks like Freestone will hold on for now, but they have given up on the chase for Tim Hendrickson. Freestone wants to fight for this 3rd place. As a 2.6k driver, I kind of don't blame him. You've got an 8k driver in the lead, a 6k driver second, and a 3.5k driver behind you, with some more 3k drivers behind that. So for Freestone, this is brilliant results so far to make it onto this podium. And he does not want people like Pefik, Urquhart and Cormanvez catching up, as we now have Mark Jeffrey and Kieran have crashed. So we're going to have a look at that in a minute as Rue Pinto goes past Freestone. It's probably not what Freestone just wanted, but if he thinks Rue Pinto's quicker, get him dragged along. Here we go, Mark Jeffrey going down into turn number 1. Does he make a move on Kieran, or does Kieran make a mistake? It looks like Kieran's going to make a mistake and takes Jeffrey with him, but completely by accident. The two locked together. Jeffrey rolls back. Kieran will now go to the pits. We see him tow, but Mark Jeffrey doesn't and continues. Mark Jeffrey does enter pit lane, so the two drivers not looking at the results that they want, but that has moved. I'm just trying to see what's happened here, because we've still got it's Alexander Phillips, who actually gains up into 8th place in the Duckworth's Van Diemen effort, the UK Duckums, It is a amazing livery that's known around the UK for years on end, and it's good to see it out there at the moment. But we now have Cornersved, and who's that in the background? That's the Philip Urquhart car trying to turn around on the start of the it's a Conrad Straight. That's a very odd place to have gone off. So let's have a look right now at what happened to Philip Urquhart. Oh, he hits the wall, but actually the car in front of Cornevet has already gone round. So let's have a look what happened to him. He does exactly the same, clips the wall, but manages to keep it facing the right direction. There'll be some damage to the car there. It allows John Pefik through, and Cornevet has headed to pit lane right now. But here is Philip Urquhart, 9th place, trying to catch up. Cornevet goes into the pits, Curran in the pits. Akiainen is 3 laps down. I hadn't noticed him jump to a pit. So James Lee is now up into 12th place. And this is what James Lee wanted. He wanted some positions to gain. And right now, he's got a chance of gaining them. Each driver gets a fast repair in this. So it will be important for them to use that in the right way. Obviously, these drivers need to use it because they might have a meatball flag. But for now, out in front. 12 minutes got, almost 13 minutes gone. This is lap 6 of this race, and Tim Hendrickson is cruising away like a torpedo for Team Torpedo, and he's just taking it easy. But this is Bathurst. Anything can happen. I mean, no disrespect, we know Tim Hendrickson, and we know he doesn't really make mistakes. Sorry if that's just put commentator curse on it, Tim, but that is the aim. Not my aim, everybody else's aim. Christian Cabana in second still. He is just cruising by himself. And Rui Pinto and David Freestone have crashed out of third place. Let's have a look now. This is David Freestone coming down the hill. He locks up and spins, and Rui Pinto just has nowhere to go. It's not really a fault. It's just something that happens here at Bathurst very easily. We'll have another look at that from the outside, which is where Freestone comes down the hill, and Rui Pinto, you will see, just has absolutely nowhere to go. It's actually, dare I say it, it's where Freestone spun early in the week when I was racing, and it reminded me very much of that crash he had in that race. So that has allowed John Pethick up onto the podium. Kept himself quiet, kept himself going in that battle. But John Pethick is now up into third place, just ahead of Rui Pinto. David Freestone now heads to the pits, which allows Alexander Phillips up into fifth place, and Patrick Altaricki just behind, up into sixth. We've seen absolutely nothing of Altaricki all day, but actually he's doing a really good job moving forward in what looks like a yellow submarine Beatles livery. Yes, it is, and I know it is because I've run it previously. So full on to Penny Lane, or even further if he takes victory here. But it's going to be a hard day's night for Patrick Altaricki. I'll get my coat. Christian Cabana now leads in the chasing pack of Tim Hendrickson still. And Cabana just he's just hoping here now. Hendrickson now 4 seconds clear of Cabana. He's 13 seconds ahead of John Pethick. So closest battle in the field right now is actually that one for third place, with Rui Pinto trying to recover back up, and we'll just go on board with Pinto. And somehow it looks like he seems pretty set in terms of his steering. He has not been to the pits. David Freestone now returned out of the pits. He's in 10th place, but no steering damage there for Rui Pinto. So very surprising considering the contact he had with Freestone. And he will be certainly looking to try and get that podium back. We can look there now at the gap behind, and actually the gap has extended hugely out. 5 seconds on the last lap, it says, to Phillips. So Phillips must have had a spin or something on that lap. But looking and then going on board with John Pethick, there is a difference in lap times between Pethick and Pinto. And it's just, oh, that was the spin for Pinto on lap 6. So that's why he's got that 5 second difference. Sorry about that. But losing another 1.6 to Pethick on that lap. So Pethick driving well, bringing that podium home at this moment in time. And it'll certainly be a strong result for him this week. "17 minutes of this race gone. And it's going to be really hard to see whether anybody can catch Tim Hendrickson. I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest. You can see the consistency there. He's pulled away from Christian Cabana. And we'll now remove that from the screen. Just look at the battle box. Look, huge gaps between each driver. Actually, James Lee, 36 seconds away from being lapped, so he should be okay. And as I say it, and drivers were going really well, even though they've had quiet races, we've had a spin for Alexander Phillips. We'll just have a look at this. It's going up into the cutting. And we're on board with him in the Duckham's livery, and so easy to do under braking. Little nudge with the wall. Does he get it going again? Waits patiently and can turn it back round, but then clips the wall on the other side. Let's have a look at it from the outside and see what happens here. Alexander Phillips has jumped to the pit, so it is race pretty much over for Phillips now by the time that tow is done. Not ideal for Phillips, but there's Hendrickson leading the way. It will be on to the last lap this time by. He will get on to lap number 9. 18 minutes 40 gone. So it will be the white flag this time by from Barney the flagman. And there he is, waving it on the start line, as always, in every iRacing. And Hendrickson just pops in a 19.6, you know. Just casually just does a 19.6, as you do. Christian Kabanga, 5 seconds behind, 20.4 for his lap time. So it's going to be, if these drivers can bring it round, I'm not going to tempt fate. It will be a victory for Tim Hendrickson. Christian Kabanga is clear in second place. And we'll have a look there. John Peffick has extended that lead to Rui Pinto, and the Club 100 former champion is bringing it home to a podium if he could just keep it pointing in the right direction. This is the closest battle on circuit on this final lap. We have Marcus Konofskis and Mark Jeffrey. Mark Jeffrey just trying to fight off the tensions behind him of David Freestone, who we know is very quick. He was in the battle for the podium till that mistake. But this is the Brazilian leading the two Aussies for the top of the Aussie table, basically, from this race, at a home race. So we'll see what happens there. But Hendrickson still leading, just to let you know. And there doesn't seem to be any changes, just a little bit of radio chatter between drivers to keep themselves entertained at times, keep themselves awake with the big gaps between each other. Patrick Altaricki has got Philip Ucott charging him down at the moment. The gap's just 1.7 seconds, so he could close this on the final lap. But we will, obviously, look ahead to Tim Hendrickson, who comes down the second half of the Conrad Straight. He took the pole position, the Dutchman did. He took it by a clear margin of about 0.3 of a second, but he's extended that to 6.5 seconds over 9 laps. The Dutchman is going to take another victory in the Formula Ford season and another victory on Formula Ford Monday nights as he comes around the final corner now. And Tim Hendrickson is going to win here at Bathurst on the legendary circuit. Hendrickson takes it. Here comes Christian Kabanga. It's a fastest lap on the final lap for Tim Hendrickson with a 19.550. Second place for Kabanga. And John Peffick's going to bring it home onto the podium for the Brits and for Club 100 in third place. A well-deserved podium, a patient podium there for Peffick. Rui Pinto recovers to fourth after his incident on the mountain. Altaricki comes home with a very, very quiet and patient fifth. A strong, great result actually there for Patrick. Philip, you got sixth, one position down from qualifying, but he actually, after his spin, that's quite good. Marcus Konofsky comes across the line ahead of Mark Jeffrey, who just beats David Freestone to the top Aussie. And here comes Malenkerb. We saw him have to pit earlier on. He comes home with a top 10. So it's a great result there for the Asia driver who comes across the line now. And then we have two drivers a bit further back who we haven't seen much of here today. Alexander Phillips and James Lee. Alexander Phillips was obviously up there in fourth place at one point, so it was interesting to see how he'd get on. But James Lee has had to chase and chased hard since the opening lap. But he's going to come home in his home race in 11th place in top split. He is a 1,679 driver, rated 14th in this lobby, coming home 11th after that opening lap. I think he'll be quite pleased with that. So he brings it home. Up over the curb on final lap. Across the line comes James Lee. And then 7 seconds behind, we have the Duckham's livery of Alexander Phillips, who comes across the line. So, what a race that was. It wasn't the most exciting Formula Ford race, but it was still a very good race. It was a very good race. Otti Harkinen and Damien Alves disappearing very early on in the race. But that was our Monday nights here at Bathurst for Formula Ford. Here are our results as they continue chatting away in the background. Tim Hendrickson takes the victory by 6.7 seconds from Christian Kabanga. John Peffett rounded out that podium with a strong third place. Rui Pinto takes fourth from Patrick Altaricki. And then we have Philip Urquhart in sixth, Marcus Konofsky in seventh, Mark Jeffrey in 8th, then David Freestone in 9th, Malin Kerr in 10th, James Lee in 11th, Alexander Phillips in 12th, Otter Aikinen in 13th, and Damien Alvarez disconnected on the opening lap before he could make a difference in this race as not the only Iberian driver, because Rui Pinto was up in 4th place, but Alvarez was there ready to pounce for top 10, but could not finish the opening lap due to his connection. So not the best of races there for Damien Alvarez. So that's a strong result for Hendrickson, and we will find out soon whether that has improved his score in the Formula Ford stakes. But for now, that is this race up. Next time out, we will be here again, same time, Monday night. Hopefully this race will be on the YouTube channel as soon as possible so you can share it out to everybody. But for now, thank you to everybody for joining us. This is being Formula Fords at Bathurst on a Monday night. Tim Hendrickson's your winner. Can anybody stop the Dutchman from challenging for this Formula Ford iRacing title? Who knows? But for now, it is good night from Bathurst and on to next week. Goodbye.